welcome back again. It's been a while, but absolutely glad that you are here. So if you saw the title was very clear, very simple. How to start with $0, right? How to start with $0. There's a lot of us that oftentimes we feel when we're getting started or looking to do a thing that we're starting with, we'll say, relatively little. So I figure if we had a quick chat about how to start with $0, that would help some of you. Now, some of you are probably wondering, what are you doing, Jay? What are we talking about? Well, ultimately, what it comes down to is over the time in business, we have various levels of resources. And sometimes it can feel like we have, $0 or nothing. Maybe we've not achieved what it is that you think you should have at this point, or maybe it's just simply the fact that you, relative to what you want to do, you feel like, maybe you're this big, and that's something I can absolutely relate to. So someone was asking me, I think in this case it was on Instagram, and they were just asking, so how do you start with $0? So there's a number of things that I want to touch and attack with that to help all of us maybe do something more than what we've done so far. So first and foremost is the level of thinking that a problem is created with that we sometimes need to elevate. So let me say that differently. Your belief that you have nothing is part of the problem, right? See, all of us can have something. And one of my mentors said a long time ago, he just simply says, use what you have. See, keywords there, use what you have to get what you need so you can have what you want. Say that again. Use what you have. See, when you're using what you have, that already acknowledges that you have something. Now, you may not value the something properly, and that's typically why we think we have, $0 or nothing. But also, let's be real about it. What you also have right now is the ability to listen to my voice. So, and again, for those of you out there, by all means, hit the subscribe and like buttons because those things help. But also, here's what I'm saying. When we don't value certain things or put too much value specifically on the wrong thing, then we end up thinking we have nothing of value. So let me be a little bit more clear. Inside the business world, I'm just gonna boil it down to 4 basic ingredients: knowledge, time, money, and credit. You've heard that before. That is not revolutionary, right? And you're in a situation where the person with the knowledge and time typically does not or may not want to use their own money and credit. And the converse is also true. The person with the money and credit may not have the knowledge and the time. That's how they got the money and credit, because they use their knowledge and time in a completely different industry. This is your typical doctor professional example, but now they've realized that they want to do some other things as well. And that's fine. Here's what I'm trying to say. All economies, and by all I mean every, economies are built upon very basic principles. And one of those basic principles is the principle of specialization. So if you'll permit me for a moment to use a reference that some of you may not be familiar with and others of you may be very familiar with, because I'm going to reference the Bible really quickly. Many of us know that there were 12 tribes of Judah, 12. And each of the 12 were given a special directive gift talent, if you will. So consider this idea, this concept. See, there's a book out there by Rabbi Daniel Lapin, Business Secrets from the Bible. And in their book, he simply says one thing. Because there were 12 and each were giving something very unique, separately, they could do something, but together they can do everything. Separately, They could do something, but together they could do everything. So when you are thinking about starting with zero, in essence, let me tell you what that is akin to. That is akin to saying, everything I have ever been given, ever have, ever done, la, 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 I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Because you may not have this one thing, it doesn't mean you have nothing. So that's why I want you to see knowledge, time, money, and credit. Those are 4 separate things, and under each of them, you can put a number of different ideas and resources, etc. But what it comes down to is money, or currency, if you will, isn't the only thing that's required. So in order to get started, whatever it is that you want to do, whether that, yeah, as you guys know, I like short-term rentals and real estate and building assets, it's to first take an inventory. What do you have? Because you have something. You've made it this far, you have something. Now, you may not, again, be assigning proper value to that something, and that's completely okay. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Because maybe you're like, Jay, I don't have, my credit's no good. I don't have enough money to do what I want to do. What I've got is time, yes. And you know what, Jay, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. Cool, but here's the good news. You have something, right? You have time. Now, one of the most important things that you can do is learn how to be an investor. And again, on many stages when I'm asked, or when people ask me, hey, when do I get to be an investor, or what does it take to become an investor? I often have to tell everyone that you already are. The challenge is what you've been doing with this resource is not producing the return that you'd like, right? So what do I mean by that? Because we're all familiar with the concept of return on investment, but we're usually measuring that with currency. But what about your return on your invested time? Yes, totally made that up, but it's something I think about. If I'm gonna put in 5, 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 7 minutes on this phone call, 15 minutes over here, and the 3-minute quick question, all of those things, what is the return on that invested time? And if the return isn't there, then maybe I shouldn't invest. Many times we ask, hey, is this a good investment? That's a good question. Are you a good manager of that type of investment? So for example, when we're first getting started, the simple thing, one of the things that pays the best type of interest is knowledge. Well, are you a good manager of that knowledge, or do you just collect it, right? Do you ever put the knowledge that you have to productive use? Because by definition, entrepreneurs, what we do is we use other people's resources and put them to productive use. Other people's knowledge, other people's time, other people's ingenuity, other people's ideas, other people's systems, other people's everything, okay, in order to get there. How you start also does not mean that's how you stay. See, oftentimes when we want to get started, we want to start where we want to finish. Say, for example, inside the short-term rental space, a lot of people say to me things like, Jay, I want to own the property, own the property, own the property. And I say, cool, not yet. Where you start isn't necessarily where you stay, but getting started is more important than anything else. And when you understand that, what happens is that you give yourself time to grow, mature, change, and actually understand how things work. Here's my point. The economy works simply because we bring solutions. That's the word I'm looking for, solutions. Solutions are what creates value, period. Solutions, not situations. What happens is that we get too focused on our current situation, and therefore that's the reason why we can't do a thing. When the marketplace has never asked you, what's your situation? They have asked you, hey, I'm thirsty, can you provide me a bottle of water? And if so, I will gladly put $2.50 inside of a vending machine and get your bottle of water. Do you see what I just did right there? Hypothetically, when someone is willing to exchange currency in exchange for a bottle of water for $2.50, then you're solved the problem. It's a solution, right? So by staying focused on your potential solutions that you could offer to the marketplace, your situation is irrelevant. I'm saying that because that's how all of us start. We start with what we have. Now, sometimes the things that we have, other people value greatly, and we can overemphasize how important they are. This happens all the time when you see someone who's starting in the real estate space and they have money, they have the credit, they have certain things, and they feel like, oh, I got a head start, I'm gonna totally crush this. But what they soon realize is that they run out of their own resources, and now they need to find a new set of skills in order to keep their business going. So I don't wanna belabor the point too long. I just wanna say that being focused on your solution is what's important. Now, when we're talking very specifically, say with short-term rentals, I tend to subscribe to, practice, teach, drill in everyone's head that you're working in a 3-phase system. Your businesses always go through multiple phases, but step number 1 is just learn how to get one, right? This is not the time to try to add the complication of purchasing a property to your situation. But then step 2, this is where I like to say you want to do your best to achieve scale. This is 2 to 120 units or more. And then step 3, this is where you begin to buy assets. Because see, what happens in step 2 is you end up earning from the business what I like to call down payment, there we go, down payment eggs. So let me explain really quickly. Whoops, there we go. Down payment eggs. What I mean by this is simple. Is you've heard of the golden goose and you've heard of how the golden goose lays eggs. Well, your business is that goose, and treated properly, it keeps giving you eggs. This is that free cash flow, EBITDA, net operating income. You can look at it many different ways, many different names and numbers for it. But taking that, not the income from a job, taking that income from a business and then putting it into productive capacity and building more assets is really what it comes down to. So when your down payment eggs is equal to the, again, down payment on whatever particular type of asset you're after. So whether that's a piece of real estate, whether that's song rights, whether it doesn't really matter, but you get the point. So what it comes down to is when this business produces this, then go buy this. See, it's not that I'm ever against owning real estate. In fact, you're going to need to. What it comes down to is the sequence. When you're out of sequence, everything gets out of order. So learning to use income from a business to produce or to buy your assets as opposed to income from labor is a better way to go. So you're like, Jay, that's good, that's great, but I don't have the money. Okay, totally understood. If that's what you're focused on, then here's what I want to say to you in summation. Offer something of value. Economies also work on the principle of exchange, right? So yes, specialization matters. I don't need to do everything in order to get anything done, but I do need to do something. And that something I do is valuable to someone. So therefore, solve someone's problem. One of the situations that people often think about when it comes to real estate is, especially in the short-term rental spaces, you're thinking, I have to own the property. Well, you don't. But more importantly, the landlord, someone, already owns the property. And that landlord has a problem. That problem is typically known as vacancy. Hopefully that makes some sense. Not earning income on a vacant space is a problem. Now, it's a problem for the landlord, not your problem, but it is a problem. And your business as the short-term rental operator, if you will, you know what you do? You solve this problem. You solve vacancy for landlords. So what does that mean? Now, typically, when you solve someone's problem, you get paid, right? That's how that works. Except in the businesses where you are producing a new output. See, this is not your output. This is one of your inputs inside of your business. So if you think of like if you were building a computer, or if you were building or creating a piece of art on canvas, say oil canvas, you're oil painting canvas, you need brushes. So yes, the person who manufactures brushes has a problem, quote unquote. They need someone to buy the brushes. You buy their brushes, you give them money, you now have brushes. You give the paint manufacturer someone who makes paint. They get money because you need their paint. Someone who makes the canvas, the easel, all the equipment you need, and then you make your piece of art. And then the art collector, if you will, purchase same said art because they like it. And because you've done all that with all the ingredients, your skill set added on top of it, you created something that somebody else wishes to value, and they place a value upon it, and then the principle of exchange occurs. Same thing happens here. A short-term rental, you've got to collect a bunch of inputs, ingredients, if you will, inside to then bake that cake. And then once you bake that cake, you offer that cake and people enjoy it. It's not any more complicated than that. But in the same instance, say like the paint manufacturer or the car manufacturer or the computer manufacturer, or maybe you want it to make a widget, or you want to make a board like this, or you want to make a microphone, a camera. You got an idea, an invention, anything. You don't start with, I don't have the money to bring it to market. No, you don't do that. In those instances, you start with, I have an idea. And you work to develop that idea. You network to see who else believes in that idea. And then together, those resources combine to create whatever it is that you have dreamt up. The same is true when it comes to short-term rentals, real estate, and every other business on the planet. But for some reason, when we start with real estate, specifically short-term rentals, we go, Jay, how do I start with no money? Well, you've never needed money, at least not your own, from the beginning. You brought that to the table. So I'm saying take that back and bring what you do have. Don't bring me what your lack, right? Don't bring me your situation. Bring the marketplace your solution. Because on the other end of that solution is the value, is receiving, is building that golden goose that lays those down payment eggs and puts you into business and gives you the opportunity to do something that, who knows, maybe you never know where it could take you once you begin processing your life in it that way. Nonetheless, I wanted to come just to share that with you because it's, again, for those of you who have been responding to us on all the socials and putting questions in the chat, we are collecting them. The team is collecting them. They're starting to feed them to me. So what we're just going to start answering them as best way we can. I definitely appreciate you asking. It tells me that you are out there trying to do something, that you want to do something. You just need some nudges in a completely different direction. Nonetheless, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I'm Jay. Talk to you soon. Until next time.